Hey, and welcome to the deep dive. Ever found yourself kind of drumming your fingers waiting for Rails migrations, especially on those bigger apps?
Oh, yeah, definitely. They could take a while.
Well, we've got a neat trick for you today. Found it in a Mint blog post from late April 2025.
Right, the one about using bulk. True.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Bulk true in your migrations. The idea is speeding things up, making those database changes, smoother.
Yeah, it's important because, well, what seems like a small background thing, these schema updates, they can really become a performance headache later on, right, as the
Mm,
app grows.
totally. So our mission today is to kind of unpack this bulk true flag. What is it? How does it work? And when should you actually use it to avoid like slowdowns or even downtime?
Sounds good. Let's get into it.
Okay, so first things first, what is bulk?
Yeah.
True. What's it actually doing under the hood?
So it's basically a flag, came in with Rails 5.2, I think. You can stick it onto methods like changeable or creatable. And the really clever part is if your database supports it, Rails bundles up multiple schema changes, like adding a few columns into just one single SQL command.
Ah, so instead of like alter table add columna, then alter table add column.
Exactly. It becomes one bigger alter table that does both, or however many you're doing. Fewer separate instructions.
Interesting. Less chat back and forth with the database, I guess. So what's the performance gain? Is it noticeable?
Well, yeah, potentially quite a bit. Every single alter table has its own overhead, right? So reducing the number of those calls just cuts down that total overhead.
Makes sense.
But maybe more importantly, especially on really big tables, lots of separate alter calls can cause locking issues. That's where things get messy.
Right. The database locks the table for each change, and if the table's busy, problems.
Precisely. You could get slowdowns, maybe even brief downtime if it's bad. Bulk. True really helps minimize that risk by doing more in one go.
The MintBit article had that nice example, didn't it? Showing adding like a nickname and an admin column.
Mm-hmm. Without bulk. True. You see two separate alter table statements in the SQL log. Clear as day.
Yeah, and you can imagine if you were adding, I don't know, 5 or 6 columns in one migration.
That's 5 or 6 separate locks, potentially.
But with bulk, true, the example showed just one combined statement. It looks so simple just adding bulk, true.
It is. That's the beauty of it. Simple change, potentially big impact.
Okay, but are there like any catches, things we need to watch out for? It sounds almost too easy.
Well, yeah, there are a couple of key things. First is database compatibility. It's not universal.
Okay.
PostgreSQL, for example, handles these bulk schema changes really well. But MySQL can be a bit more limited. Depending on the specific changes, it might not be able to bundle everything.
Right, so you got to know your database's quirks. Good
Yeah.
point. What else?
The other main thing is that not all types of schema changes can actually be batched together, even in Postgres.
Like what?
Things like adding indexes or maybe complex foreign key constraints, those usually still need their own separate SQL statement. Bulk true won't group those up.
Gotcha. So it's mainly for simpler stuff like adding multiple columns or changing column types within the same changeable block.
Exactly. It's focused on those kinds of common grouped schema modifications.
And the article was clear this is only for schema migrations, right? The structure. Nothing to do with bulk data operations like insertal.
Absolutely. Totally separate things. Bulk true is purely about optimizing the alter table DDL commands during a migration.
Okay, makes sense. So the big question then, when should we actually reach for bulk?
Yeah.
True, what's the guideline?
Honestly, the rule of thumb is pretty straightforward. Anytime you find yourself adding, say, 2 or more columns to the same table within a single migration file.
Just add bulk. True.
Yeah, pretty much. Just add it to your changeable options. It's especially useful, like we said, in bigger apps, or if you're doing continuous deployment where every second of migration time counts.
And safer deployments too, potentially, because of the locking reduction.
Definitely safer. Plus, a nice little side benefit the article mentioned, your schema logs can look cleaner, less cluttered with repetitive alter statements.
Faster, safer, cleaner logs. Feels like a no-brainer when it applies. And it's such a small code chain.
It really is. It's one of those low effort, high reward kind of optimizations you can find in Rails sometimes. Makes a difference as things scale up.
All right, so wrapping this up, our dive into that MintBit piece really highlights bulk. True as, well, a simple but pretty powerful tool. Reduces those alter table calls, speeds things up.
And thinking broadly, these small tweaks to fundamental things like database migrations, they add up. They contribute to a smoother, more efficient development process overall.
So here's a little something for you, the listener. to think about. Take a peek at some of your recent Rails migrations. Were there spots where you added multiple columns to one table?
Yeah, could you have popped in bulk?
Yeah.
True there.
It might just be that tiny change that makes your next production deployment that little bit smoother. Definitely worth considering. Thanks for tuning in.